we have a 6mm bicone on our homemade little head pin there. It's a really long head pin right now. So, here's what you do. Put your big bead on top. Just so you know, this is going to be like a component for the earring, it's not the actual hook. Now, there's many, many different ways of doing this. I like to do it this way, where you take your round nose pliers, not your straight ones, bend the wire towards you. Then over top of the other, go like this. And twist a bit. There you go. You've got a loop. Now, what we do is we're just going to close this loop because I need to make the hook for it. So, did you see what I did? I'll show you again next time. I just wrapped, using the round nose pliers to hold it. It's like another little hand. You just wrap the wire around, usually 3 times is good. Trim. Trim, trim. And then you take your needle nose, guys, and pinch it down. Okay. So there's the dangle, okay, part of your earring. So this is going to be what's here. And I will do it again to the other bead, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so here we are with our 2 cute little dangles here. With bicones on the bottom and the millefiori glass kind of chunks, bits, I guess, and the loops on top. So we reach the intended purpose of the video initially, which is to make your basic regular little hook with a little whoop. So to do that, I hope you guys don't mind my little sound effects. That's sort of the way I talk. So, that's a bunch of wire. How about right here? Yeah, about 3.5 inches, 4 inches of the same gauge wire, 20 gauge. And I just kind of use, I know that some people out there like to use nylon jaw pliers to straighten their wire out. I don't really use it ever for that. I just use my little handers. So, here's what I like to do first. What I like to do first is the wrap technique that you would have seen me do here. I'm going to do it here. So, what I do is just bend this around, keep the long edge down, here's the side view, so you can see the shorter edge is facing towards me. And then I just kind of take the long end and kind of boop, just pull it in towards myself a wee bit so that there's just a gap. I don't know if you can make that out at all. Probably not. But there will be a little gap there, just wide enough, so that we can slip that all together. See? And then, what I do is I like to take my pliers and just tighten the loop, just make it a little bit rounder, because in the process of stretching the hole to make room for the link to go on, the whole the wrap kind of loosens up a bit. So what I like to do is tighten it up a wee bit there so that it's about the same size as the link it's connected to. It just looks a little bit neater. So just grab everything so it's all nice and stable. Take your short end and wrap it. Instead of going downwards like you're doing with the dangle, this time you're wrapping up. If you've got, I'll take a picture of it so you can actually see it, but if you've got little gaps in your loops, it happens all the time. It's not anything to feel guilty about or like you're crappy at this, because you're not. What you do is you just take your pliers, squish them together, and then no one will know the difference, especially if you're using copper. Copper is really nice malleable metal, so it moves around like that quite nicely. Trim the little bit of excess, there's about a 1/4 inch of excess. And just blend that, or get that in a bit so that it's not going to catch on anybody's clothes or skin. I always run my finger over it just to see, and if it's persistent, that's when you can use your trusty file if it's going to be difficult. Copper I don't have as much trouble with. I have found. Anyway, now comes the fun part. What you can do if you want, it's totally your call, is add, because this is, from now on, this is going to be your ear hook. So what we can do is we can just leave it plain. We can put a bead on there. If you like. I have a bead I want to use that'll fit. Not on hand that'll fit, but some really cute bicones that I really want to use. Okay, why don't we do that? Show you a way to make this work. When you've got a bead, like little 4mm bicone like this, that is the hole is too small for the 20 gauge wire that we've used. It's okay. What you can do is take a smaller gauge of the wire. It doesn't have to be the same. I'm going to use copper again. This is probably, it's not quite 30. It's probably 28 gauge. I don't know because it's just a scrap piece that I have, so I don't have it clearly labeled, but it's about a 28, I would say. And what you can do is, well, of course I'm gonna just kind of be sneaky there and wrap a few times around the wrap that I already made, just to set this in motion here. just makes it kind of fun, a little more homespun looking, which is great. I like the homespun kind of farm fresh look. That's a totally personal thing. It's up to you. So put on some. I think this is called hyacinth. This particular bicone, and it's a double AB. So what I'm gonna do is wrap like that. See? So you can still have the bead that you want with the color and everything that you like, even though it's the wrong size. It's pretty cool. I enjoy that. I think I'll just leave it just the one, to be honest with you. There we go. Yeah, and you can just wrap that around a couple of times so that it stays, trim it, all the rest of that. Now, what I like to do is grab, show it to you this way. So there's what I want to be the front of the earring is obviously where the decorative element is, right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the little wrap there that I did over top and just bend towards it. If I was doing this on my own with no camera watching me, I would do it facing myself so I could see a little easier what I'm doing. But you get the idea. Bend it like that so that you've got the rest of your wire facing that way. And then our pen comes into play. What you do is you just sit your pen kind of right angle, I should say. That's where the pen is going to be. Just slightly in from that, and then you just wrap this down there like that. Then I just kind of bend this out a little bit with my finger. Slip that off. Now you've got a hook with a really long tail. So I'm going to cut the tail right there. Take these pliers, bend where I bent it by hand, just a little bit tighter with the pliers, but it doesn't have to be super tight. Okay, now, if you're using a metal like copper, it's extremely malleable, as you've no doubt discovered during the process. So this is going to lose its shape before long. So what I like to do to stop that is to what they call work harden it, which is simple. You just take your hammer, your anvil, you put the ear hook down on the anvil, and you'll just hammer right here around it, okay? You can leave the rest. It's not going to move after you hammer this so that it stays, okay? So I'm just going to do that. Being careful to keep the bicone and all the decorative stuff off the anvil and away from the hammer. There. Now, work hardening does that. It makes it kind of change shape a little bit. So all you got to do is bend it back down. Straighten it out if you have to. And then this still is quite sharp, so I'm going to file it. There you have, hope you can see it, an earring. And I don't think I mentioned it, but the
color of the 6mm bicone, the bottom I think is topaz. Yeah, like a smoky